can't progress your career and you can't evolve as a person unless you do the things that you're about to do, unless you try. I'm Helen Alton. I'm a head of people for Engine, and Engine are a marketing and communications agency based primarily in London and Manchester. We do have some global offices too. Some businesses call my role a human resources director, and it's a really interesting role. It's a role that I love. It's a role that I'm very passionate about. To give you just a little bit of a flavour about it, I'm responsible for supporting the business to help set the strategy, the policy and the practice of hiring people, managing people, developing people, and directing people that are employed across the business. So in the UK, the Engine business is about 650, between 650 and 700 people. And I have a team of 16, I have to think about that for a moment, 16 people in the people team. I'm incredibly lucky. We've got some super talented individuals in the team. And really how we're built as a team is that we've got some specialists who do some specialist things. So we've got somebody who sets the strategy and works with our team of recruiters. So they work on hiring people into the business, and they look at how we as a business can be attractive to potential employees coming in. We have got a specialist who just focuses on learning and development. What a great job to have. So her role is to work across the business, looking at how we can engage people into learning. One of our sort of mantras is how can we encourage continuous learning across the business? That's really important, especially for young people, to have a continuous learning and growth mindset. And so her role is to work with employees, work with teams, work with managers and leaders to look at how we can establish and enable that. So she'll look at what opportunities there are to learn on the job, what training people might need to support them before they can get promoted or perhaps work in a different area. And she also supports people in their development plans. So we try to make sure that people have what we call PDPs, performance development reviews. And so she'll help the people partners, the people who are in the business supporting employees, to make sure that they've got development plans that are supporting their careers and their career progression. So I went to university and I moved away, and it was probably the best thing I ever did in terms of just learning. So I love learning, but I love living away from home. I made lots of new friends. I had a great time. And I thought it was just the best learning experience, really, really good learning experience. Finished university, did quite well, and still didn't know what I wanted to do. But by this time, knew that whatever I did, I definitely wanted to, in some way work with people. I've always loved music, and so I got a temp job at a music retailer in London. That was really, I guess, almost like in some ways the making of me, because I loved music, so I had a great time, great vibe, a great team that I worked with. But I guess because I worked quite hard, I quickly got promoted and I got put onto their management program. And it was when I was on their management program that I realised actually there was a job called human resources. And it was there really, it was only at that point that I realised there was this job called human resources. And I started to think, maybe I could do that. And so I worked full-time and I funded my master's and worked my master's in human resources part-time. So I had a really tough couple of years where I wasn't working in human resources, but I knew I wanted to do that. And so I studied and I did a master's under my own steam. And it was when I was on my master's that I met my future boss, who worked in advertising and said, "You'd be great in our advertising environment. Come and interview with us." And so I did. And I think I had 5 different interviews with, a whole range of people whose brains were definitely not like mine and who worked in this world that I'd never seen or not really even heard of before. Anyway, I got the job. And I think I spent my first 3 years there and sort of got to know the ropes of what it was like working in the creative industry, in the advertising industry. So I would say be open to everything. So, we talked right at the start about, the times are challenging right now. So be open to everything. Try as many things as you can. So, it might not be exactly what you want, but actually when you open up your mind and you become open to trying different things, hopefully at some point there'll be some options available for you. And then you can start to think about what you really want from those options and, what you really want to focus on, the things that you like and how you can play to your strengths. And I think being open and being curious and trying new things gives you more options because you meet more people, you see and experience things that perhaps you wouldn't have. And the more things that you see and experience, the more things that you hopefully understand, the things you like and the things that you perhaps don't like as much, and what you're good at or stronger at, and perhaps what you might not like to do as much of going forward. But, if you remain fixed on, just, maybe one thing, or, you narrow your options. So I would say, that's a piece of general advice. Sometimes things don't necessarily they're not instantly appealing, but over a period of time, if you try different things, you'll know actually, and you might surprise yourself. There might be some things that you've never thought of, and that actually just by being open, giving it a go, not putting any expectation necessarily on it working out, you might find that it's the one thing that you love. So first of all, I think there's a thing around sort of self-belief. So it's almost like if you tell yourself that you can do it and you make a pact with yourself that you're going to have a go and, you can do it, a bit of positive, challenging yourself positively that you can. I think for me, I've always found it helpful to have somebody, a coach, a mentor, a sounding board that I can run through things with. So for me, that works. So I will set myself up for, yes, I can do it, and almost setting myself the challenge of doing it. But then I prepare quite a lot. So I find it quite useful to write things down and to wander around. I find moving and talking as I move helps me. It's just one of the things that is quite useful for me. I find it really helpful to have somebody that I trust, that I can talk my fears or anxieties or my challenges through with, so that actually if I know that if I'm trusting them and I'm working with them or they're being my sounding board, that actually if there is anything that I'm worried about, they can give me some reassurance and also sometimes a bit of coaching or guidance if they also think that, I might be about to make a mistake or to, maybe not help myself in that situation. When I think about how you can inspire people to follow you, and I think it is about how you can encourage people to think about how they might want to follow you, you have to have great communication skills. You have to make sure that there's always the opportunity for those communications to be two ways and genuine, truthful and honest. I think when you're leading people, you have to be empathetic with them and they need to feel as though they can trust you. And without that, I don't think there can be a leadership or the sense of somebody wanting to follow a leader. I look less for specifically the skills and experience that that person has at that time, and more about in terms of their potential, in terms of their values and behaviours and how they might play out in the business. So I often ask questions about how people learn. So I quite often will talk about learning experiences and what people have learned from their experiences and how they've applied that going forward. So I do ask some specific questions around that. I guess for me, there's also something about, we call it emotional intelligence. So lots of people think about academia and intellect. But in the people team world, we think a lot about emotional and social intelligence too. So, how are people not only aware of others and how empathetic and understanding are they of others, but also how self-aware are they, and have they got a grasp on how the way that they work and behave can impact and affect others.